Hello and welcome to another episode of Attacking Third, a CBS Sports Soccer podcast. I'm Sandra Herrera, lead NWSL writer for CBS Sports, joined today, as always, by my colleague and co-host Lisa Roman, broadcaster and analyst for CBS Sports. On today's episode, we have an NWSL midweek preview for you all. But before we get into everything, a quick reminder to subscribe to us on YouTube for NWSL extended highlights, exclusive interviews, and our live recaps, and so much more. YouTube.com/attacking third. Hit subscribes. It helps us out big time here at A3. Lisa, we're back together again. Quick turnaround for us as well as some teams who are going to be meeting this week in midweek action. How are you doing today, pal?
I'm good. I'm very good. Yeah, we had Friday, Saturday action, and then Tuesday, Wednesday this week. It's very quick turnaround, but no games on Sunday. Only 3 between Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm good. I apologize for anyone if you hear any construction. They are putting in a new street light right outside my window today. So this is just the life. We're living the life, Sandra. How are you today?
We're getting live cityscape, soundscape all in one. I love it so much.
It's actually really good because they're adding a new stoplight.
That's good. That's important.
One missing from the corner. Yeah. So it's adding safety to my intersection here, which is much needed and very important, but really
and it should make a break. It's a little bit of a break from soccer. Instead of watching soccer, you have a front row seat to the city construction. I love that for you, buddy. Fantastic.
And all the streets are blocked off because they're doing it, so then people get angry and they honk their horn. It's just like a nice musical city.
I love that
situation we've got here.
And you're like, you know what would be a good time to record a preview for right now when you are going to be trapped in your home office because of the construction. It works out. It works out for everybody. Works out for our listeners here. Works out for me. We get to hang out for a little bit about it. And not 1, not 2, but 3 midweek NWSL matches that we have to take a little bit of a dive on. Let's talk a little bit about them because they're not all falling on a Wednesday, which typically has been the common trend here when there has been midweek action in this regular season. But we have one game that is taking place on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's Angel City FC versus Houston Dash. And then we have 2 matches on Wednesday. It's Chicago Red Stars versus Washington Spirit at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then San Diego Wave FC versus Portland Thorns FC on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern as well. So let's start at the top. Let's start with the fixture that is going to kick off action this week. It's Angel City versus Houston Dash. That is a Tuesday match. We've got 2 teams going head to head, Lisa. They have 6 matches played between them. So they're each sitting on 6 matches played as they prepare to, face each other on a quick turnaround here. And not a lot of familiarity between these 2 teams. But some things to note for the Houston Dash side of things as they go on the road against Angel City here. We were chatting a little bit about it off mic, but the potential of this Dash team not only going on the road and playing in a place that's become difficult to play in at Bank of California Stadium, but going to be without their captain and goal scorer here in Rachel Daly.
Yeah, that's a very big loss for Houston as they head into this quick turnaround. Both Houston and Angel City played on Friday. So a few days rest before they head into this Tuesday match. But without Rachel Daly for Houston, I think that changes a lot of things. And Houston's coming off this incredible 5-0 win over Orlando. And although Rachel Daly only scored 1 of the goals, she was instrumental in every single one of these goals. Not to mention her goal that she scored was world-class, phenomenal. Between 2 center backs, she heads it over Erin McLeod in goal. But Rachel Daly is the backbone and the spine of this team in their energy, in what they do in the locker room and everything like that. So this is a loss. This is a huge loss and a big factor for Houston as they head into this match versus Angel City. Angel City coming off of a 3-0 loss to Portland, not able to find the back of the net. And this one, we talked about it in our recap of this game, that Angel City, they can get corner kicks. They can draw corner kicks. 13 in this match against Portland, 15 the match before for Angel City, but they can't capitalize on them. So that's something I'm really keyed in on, that type of stat in this match against Houston for Angel City, because Angel City needs to be able to put those away. They're playing in Los Angeles at Bank of California Stadium. I like this matchup, frankly, because we haven't seen it before. Houston's on a bit of a hot streak. They've won 3 of their last 5 games. They're undefeated because they tied. They haven't lost. They're number 2 in the standings. Houston's doing pretty well right now, right? Like pleasantly surprised in how well that Houston's doing. A lot of credit goes to Sarah Loudon, the interim head coach for the Dash. And Angel City, they've hit a bit of a patch. They've lost 2 straight. They've switched Tyler Lucy from the front line into the back. Simone Charlie is trying to get worked into that front line as well. They dealt with a bit of COVID protocol for a while there. In goal, Didi Hauricic is doing well, but she's getting pummeled with shots game in and game out. This is going to be a big test between these two sides. In my picks and my predictions, I have Angel City getting back on the winning side of things. They've lost 2 in a row. They've faced some really tough competition, and now going up against a Houston side that's coming off this incredible 5-0 win, they need to mellow out a little bit. Without Rachel Daly, I think it takes out some of the air of Houston's sails. So I have Angel City winning this match against Houston.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair. I think if we're looking and sort of analyzing things team by team here, and maybe looking at something like a quick turnaround, if you're Angel City, you're not going to have that travel on you. You're not going to have, the limitations that maybe the traveling team has on them heading into things on the road. So I was a little back and forth on this one at first when I was thinking about who I'm going to go with. The thing is, I've just been so impressed with the interim head coach Sarah Loudon and what she's been doing with this Houston Dash side. And I just sort of feel like you got to kind of stay with the hot team until you can't anymore. So I was like, am I going to choose a draw with just 3 games of us previewing this week? Am I going to do that? And you know what? I'm going to save it for this match. It was tough for me going back and forth. I'm in 100% agreement with you. I like what we've been seeing out of this Houston Dash attack, especially recently over the last couple of weeks. But I think Rachel Daly is going to be a big loss, but it's not one that they're unfamiliar with. And this is a player who has been involved with the England women's national team for quite some time, has been, had made departures to participate in these camps with this team. They're not a side that is unfamiliar with having a player of her caliber head off. Now, that being said, I'm curious on the other side of things for Angel City, how they're going to continue to target that attack. Do you just sort of task a Tyler Lucy with just saying, hey, you're going to mark their best winger out there. Just go ahead and task yourself with Maria Sanchez and try to isolate a player like that.
I don't think you can look over Nichelle Prince at this point, though.
And then I'm saying, which one are you going to choose? That's my point. It's like, which one are you going to be targeting here? Like, who are you going to choose? Like, if you're going to give attention to one side, that's going to maybe open some things on the other side. And you're talking about a player that's coming off of a hat-trick performance for this Houston Dash side. I'm also kind of eager to see the adjustments that Loudon does make. Like, are we going to see who are we going to maybe see in that front line for this Houston Dash side? Is it going to be Michaela Abam? Like, is that who's going to slot in terms of having another offensive or attacking minded player in that front line? There's some options there that they could take a look at. Who are they going to move someone higher? Are they going to move someone lower? So I think this is going to be a good opportunity to maybe see someone like Loudon get a chance to sort of roll out some adjustments, but I also think because of that, it might take a little time for things to gel. And I'm looking at Angel City, and they're coming off of a tough loss, and they're going to want to get the bounce back, obviously. And I think they also have a very good and dynamic attack. So I'm just kind of thinking that maybe some of these things might cancel each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I'm just feeling like there's a possibility or the makings of a draw in this one, and that's why I'm sticking with the draw.
I like your draw for this one. The player rotation diving into that for Houston is very interesting because we've seen Shea Groom play higher up the pitch along with Prince and Sanchez. So could we see that happening? And there's plenty of midfielders for Sarah Loudon to choose from, whether it's Vigiano, Schmidt in the midfield, Ogle, Briva Sali, even Elizabeth Eddy could slide in there. We usually see her on the flanks though. So that's super interesting. I think we could see Groom a little bit higher. I wouldn't be surprised though if we get Alozie, who also scored the 5th goal in that last match up top. There's a lot that plays into it, and also minute management. You have to look at how these players are feeling after a quick turnaround from Friday to a Tuesday game. But again, Friday's match against Orlando, not probably the most draining on these players as they were up 2-0, 3-0, and then this scoreline keeps going. So you gain so much more momentum and you keep possession of the ball. You're not chasing it as much, and you're not like go. It changes your energy levels for sure.
I hear you 100%. Well, you know what? Let's see how it shakes out. I'm going draw. You're going Angel City in this one. We'll see what it comes down to. In terms of the Wednesday matches, we have a doubleheader to get through here. Something to note for the Chicago Red Sox and Washington Spirit. This is the game that was rescheduled from the Challenge Cup. Washington Spirit winning their Challenge Cup semifinal, getting a spot in the Challenge Cup final, coming up as runners up there. But because of that, there was some overlap within the regular season schedule, and the May 7th fixture that was initially scheduled between these two sides got rescheduled to Wednesday, this Wednesday on June 8th. So Chicago's going to be the hosts in this one. It is literally it's another quick turnaround for both of these teams, but these are two teams that just faced each other in a midweek fixture last week. So they were also the midweek match in the Wednesday prior to this one, Lisa. So when we're looking at these two teams, we've been talking about it a lot on this show. This is the Washington Spirit side that has had a very heavy, match heavy, front loading part of their schedule so far. Who are you picking in this one and why?
I love this matchup, and you're exactly right. We just saw this game happen 1 week ago. 1 week ago from when they're playing each other. It was at Segra Field. It ends in a 1-1 draw, but Chicago goes up first, and they go up early in the 10th minute of this game. It was the beginnings of this game made Washington look a little slow and a little tired. And that was only after playing 2 back-to-back games. Now Washington is at the tail end of this back-to-back game schedule that they've faced. And they look tired. They've been hit pretty hard. We didn't see Trinity Rodman in the weekend matchup for Washington Spirit. They're coming off of a loss in that matchup because of Gotham and Margaret Purse scoring that type of goal. Washington is hurting right now. Is this a game where we see Chris Ward not throw in the towel by any means, but say, all right, we're going to get player rotation in here. We're just going to see what happens. I think we saw a little bit of that versus Gotham, player management and not playing Trinity Rodman. Ashley Hatch getting a lot of minutes, but also Sanchez coming off and player rotation with Andy Sullivan as well and Rodriguez. I think we're going to see more of that with Helferty also getting rested minutes because she's a player that's been putting in miles since the Challenge Cup for Washington. Washington's been hit, and I don't think that this is the game that they bounce back, right? They tied 4 in a row, and then they lost to Gotham. I could see this ending in a draw, but honestly, I see Chicago taking the win in this one. Chicago's, they're on a very good high right now. They've got Mallory Pugh back in really good form. They're coming off a nice win over OL Reign that happened last week. Of course, the goal coming from Mallory Pugh just at the start of the second half. So Chicago knows how to come from behind. They also know how to hold a lead. But can they hold this lead against Washington? Because that's what happened last time. They scored early. It was then 80 minutes of defending, and Washington was able to get one back. This is going to be a scrappy game because tired legs, they make sloppy fouls and sloppy mistakes. But ultimately, I think Chicago can take this one between these two sides. So last time they played, it was at Segra Field. And now for this match, as we see it, it's at Toyota Park. So it's back in Chicago. It's at SeatGeek Stadium. which gives Chicago the upper hand for sure. I mean, Segra Field there's some issues there, right? I mean,
we talked about it.
We
We
talked
talked
about
about it
it.
in the recap. It's a
It's not the
very
best
turfy
field.
field.
It
Very turfy
changes
field.
the way the game is played. The ball is super bouncy. It's not the smoothest surface. So advantage to Chicago in that sense, playing at home. But I know you like to hear this, Sandra. I do think Chicago is going to win over Washington.
It's music to my ears every time you go with Chicago. And it was this one was tough for me. I think for similar arguments that I was making with Angel City and Houston Dash, and I was like, there's only 3 games that we're going to be previewing here, and I shouldn't pick any draws, but I do want to pick one. And I thought maybe that I should save it for this match just because of the quick turnaround, and I know the kind of tired legs that sort of hit players in a midweek match. But it's a little bit of a different energy, I think, going on a game with 2 days rest versus going into a game on 3 days rest, right? The recovery, that extra day of recovery is helpful. But there's also that familiarity that you touch on, that that we talked about before we got into this game, that there's 2 teams here that have literally played each other just the week before. And I think you have a lot of fresh faces for this Chicago Red Stars teams, a lot of first-year players and rookies. And the fact of the matter is they have that film to go back and look at. That's still probably pretty fresh in their mind, that for 86 minutes, they played a pretty good game against a defending champion Washington Spirit side. Whether heavy match schedule or not, that's still who they are. They still have the stars on their team, and they unfortunately conceded in the 86 minute off a set piece, and this is something that has kind of followed them a little bit, and they've expressed some frustration in that. And that's an area that they've wanted to target and try to work on. And we saw in that OL Reign game, there were some decent opportunities there, and they did not concede on a dead ball situation. So maybe they can look at that already and say improvements, right, from match to match. But looking at that and knowing that there's that familiarity, that there is that recent footage, and that it's probably still fresh in their minds, I'm also going with Chicago on this one. I'm a little curious as to what player rotation is going to look like for both sides, quite frankly, because this is a Washington Spirit side that we have seen have a ton of players involved in U.S. national team camps. There are friendlies that are going to be taking place towards the later stage of this month. And I'm looking at this Chicago side and sort of seeing like who is going to get what type of minute, management, and how's that going to look like. We saw, Vanessa DiBernardo and Danny Colaprico play extended minutes against OL Reign, and they are 2 players that have become essential players to Chicago's midfield here. Bianca St. George's is someone who has been unavailable. We did chat with head coach Chris Petroselli at the end of that victory against OL Reign, and he alluded to the fact that perhaps this Wednesday game might be a game too early for somebody like St. George's to return. So to maybe expect her for the later match ahead of that, but probably not going to be available in this midweek fixture. Obviously, somebody like Aaron Wright is also up in the air. Still, we're recording this well ahead of getting some availability reports. So I'm curious. I'm still like, how's it going to look like? Who's going to be available, and how are they going to be available for each side of the pitch? So it was tough for me to say not go with a draw on this one, but I'm going to go with you, Lisa. I'm going to keep the good vibes going, and I'm going Chicago as well. I think there's more here that could benefit them going forward into this match. So I think we're going to go 2 for 2 here with the Red Stars being able to take out a win.
I kind of like that. The draw was here for me in this match. I could have seen a draw between Chicago and Washington, just how things have played out. Washington is a gritty team that can dig deep, and they have a lot of good players, a deep bench that can pull through. And knowing that they just tied to Chicago a week ago, it's almost that mindset of like, okay, we've got to do better. We've got to get better than that. But also, obviously, Chicago's thinking the same thing. So I could have seen a draw in this one, but I like that we're both sticking with Chicago. You used your draw in the first match. I'm still holding on to mine.
You are still holding on to these. So you got one more chance to use it, if you even want to use it. We've got a Wednesday night feature, a late night feature. This one's at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. San Diego Wave FC. They're going to be hosting Portland Thorns FC. First time for these two in the regular season, although we're talking about familiarity. These are two teams that have some history already in the Challenge Cup, as they were both in the West region of group play. San Diego entering this match with 7 matches played so far. Portland Thorns on the road in this one with 6 matches played so far. So, Lisa, I got to ask, do you have a winner in this one and why?
I do. I have Portland Thorns winning this one. I just wanted to tease a little draw there for everyone. These, as you mentioned, they played each other in the Challenge Cup. 2 matches in the Challenge Cup. Portland won both of those. The first one was just 1-0. The second one is 3-2. However, Sophia Smith scored in the first 5 minutes for Portland in both of those matches. 5th minute in the 1-0 win for Portland, and in the 4th minute in their 3-2 win. Hina Sugita getting the other 2 goals for Portland in that match. So there's something about Sophia Smith and quick starts against this San Diego side that San Diego hasn't been able to really get a hold of yet. Now, San Diego has been impressive throughout this regular season. I mean, they're still top of the standings, which is pretty impressive. 4 wins, only 2 losses and 1 draws in all of this. But their goals for 10. They're top 3 in the league right now. So San Diego can score goals, which is a team that we were so focused on the defensive side of San Diego and what they could do with Abby Dahlkamper, Naomi Gurma, Kaylin Sheridan in the back line, Casey Stoney as their head coach, which has such an emphasis on defense. And 5 goals against. Yes, their defense has been good, but I think it's their attacking prowess that I've been most impressed with. So honestly, I see San Diego getting on the board. I don't think Portland will be able to shut out San Diego just with the attacking power that they have with Alex Morgan in the front line and what she's been able to do against so many clubs. San Diego's coming off of a draw, which both goals came from Alex Morgan. However, they have so many, I'm going to say, like, underlying threats, because I think Taylor Korniak in the midfield is so sneaky good that she can whip balls in. Kelsey Turnbow's also been getting better and better at feeding balls through to the front line against a side like Portland, who is very organized structurally. They also play 3 in the back.
Yeah.
And Kuika and Klingenberg, they get so high up the pitch, and that's, for Portland, that's their idea of what to do, is get those wide wing backs higher up the pitch, which creates so much attack. But on a quick transition, which is what San Diego's been really, really good at this year, I see San Diego getting on the board. But the chemistry that has been growing between Sophia Smith, Christine Sinclair on Portland, it is really good. It's really fun to watch. I'm really impressed with Sam Coffey and what she's been able to do in the midfield. And Portland's just, they're coming along, right? They've continued to impress and get better and better, coming off of a 3-0 win. I see more goals for Portland, but I see high scoring affair. So like a 3-2, a 2-1 in this match, but Portland
putting a scoreline on it. I like that.
Coming out on top. Yeah, because I think San Diego is going to get one.
Okay.
I do. I think that Portland will concede 1 against the Wave. But I think
they've typically found a way.
Yes, exactly.
I'm with you on that. I think, again, similar to Angel City, the California teams have been able to make their home facilities a difficult place to play. But even with the quick turnaround, it's a West Coast trip for Portland. This is not something where I'm like, maybe this is going to be so dreadful for this team on the legs. I also like the depth of this Portland Thorns side. So maybe I'm tipping my hat a little bit on my pick for this one, because I'm also leaning towards the Thorns in this one. I am coming off of a match that it's still fresh in my mind, where I got to see Portland play live for the first time this year when they came to Chicago and played against the Red Stars. So as I was on duty for that game, getting to see individual performances up close is just a little bit different at times. And I'm with you 100%. Sam Coffey, I think, is having a very under the radar type of breakout season. I think more folks had to be talking about her performances a little bit. And I just am looking at the sort of the midfield matchup here, and when they're going to have the rotation in this match, is it going to be seeing Kuika on one side, but who are we going to see on the other? Is it going to be, rolling the dice with Janine Becky, who just, got this star, against Angel City? Is it going to be Klingenberg who gets the start? And part of me is like, doesn't matter. They're both so good and like doing really well right now for the teams. I'm also a little curious as to, if somebody like Emily Menges is going to be available. Again, we're doing this ahead of availability reports. I think if she's available and able to slot into the back, that just sort of secures some more things there in the back for this Portland Thorns side. And then the other side defensively for San Diego, I'm very impressed with their defensive performances. I think they've got one of the best keepers in the league, and Kaylin Sheridan. I think they also have another rising star in this one, in Girma. The communication between these two in terms of leading this defensive shape for San Diego, I think has been incredibly impressive to start their season. Maybe I should have saved the draw for this one. We'll see. I don't know, but I feel like there's more there for Portland to try to capitalize, especially considering the short histories between these teams. Just having a couple matches against each other already might maybe lead to some moments where, this is a type of game that might not get going until like the second half, where maybe they sort of feel each other out in that first 45 to sort of see how familiar things are against each opposition, and then maybe things crack open in the second half. Maybe we do that. Maybe I don't know if that's enough for me to put a score line on it. So I love you for that, for being able to have the confidence to put that on there. But I will go with a pick, and I do feel like Portland can get the 3 points in this one. So we're going Chicago together, and we're going Portland together. And our mixed bag is that first game between Angel City and Houston Dash. Folks, you can catch all these games. You can catch Angel City, Houston Dash on Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can find that match. Let's see here. I think that one is actually on Paramount Plus. You're going to have Chicago Red Stars and Washington Spirit on Wednesday, June 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can catch that on Twitch. And San Diego Wave FC and Portland Thorns FC is also Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. You're going to find that one on CBS Sports Network. So make sure you tune in and follow the midweek action. That's it for me, Lisa, unless you want to have any parting shots before we go.
No, I'm good. I hope the construction's done outside my window soon, and I hope everyone has a great week. Tuesday, Wednesday matches. We'll be back to recap them all. I mean, 3 midweek. What a treat.
We'll be able to see if we were correct or incorrect. And of course, as always, we love to chat about that. Thanks everybody for listening to us as always and following Attacking Third. You can follow us now on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Attacking Third. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you listen to your podcast shows. We're also available as video. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Visit youtube.com/Attacking Third. And if you have any questions for us, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with your question, and we'll answer it during a mailbag segment. And we'll be back to recap every single one of these games. For Sandra, Herrera, and Lisa Roman, this was Attacking Third.